Hi everyone, welcome back to Data Testing Zone. In last video, we saw how to execute these 5 test cases through Python and Pytest and saw that each of the test cases were passing, right? So in this session, we are going to execute another 2 test cases that we originally discussed as a part of the project structure. After that, there is one more to go. So yeah, in this session, we will basically focus on these two. So let us get started. The first test case is again a name evident from name only that we are going to validate schema. So this is the query that we use in Postgres to validate a schema. Now I'll show you if you want to run query in Postgres and need to validate a schema, then I have already mentioned how you can create a table in Supabase and then use this as a Postgres connection and use it locally to create some automation script in for your practice. So yes, so this is the query that we need to write, and then we just need to run it. Okay, so you see that we have got the schema over here. So ship date is text, and then row ID is big int and all that, right? So now what we need to do is we need to validate this particular data against our expected value. So our expected value is nothing but these columns, like these order ID should be of text format, order date should be of text format. So again, when it comes to Postgres, right, it is very different to Pandas data type. The mapping of the data varies. So we need to be a little particular about this. So when you pass on the expected value, make sure that you're passing on the right one. Okay. So this is the expected value. Now we are going ahead and writing down the code for this. So let us go to our PyCharm editor and then go ahead and write another else statement that is going to put down the code for validating the schema. Okay. So for this one, what parameter shall we take is, let us get started, test case and then test case name. Okay, so let me open test case as well so that we can get the parameters. So I'm taking this. Okay, why? Because we have already tried using, we have already shown how to use query logic, how to use expected value. Now let us try using, test case name. I mean, this is just, to get different methods to test, to verify things. You can use anything of your convenience, but yeah, any of the columns as per your convenience. But just for a change and usage perspective, I'm using test case name here. Okay, and then we are putting it again as starts with. So this test case starts with schema, right? You see it starts with schema. Okay, so we will put here schema. Okay, and then what we will do is now we will convert. Now our DB result, we need to convert it into dictionary. Now this particular line is going to execute this query, right, that we have written in this test case. So this particular query is going to be executed there. So we will get again our tuples, list of tuples, right? So we need to convert that into dictionary. So how we need to do it is we will just put DB result, DB schema, or yeah, anything, DB schema. Okay. And then put it as, we are going to do some list comprehension over here again, like we are going to convert it into dictionary. So we are going to comprehend the data into single line. Okay, we are going to do it in single line. So be with me, we will do it slowly. And so first of all, let me write, I will tell you the order in which it will get executed, okay, for column and D type in DB result. Now, what are we going to check? Now, we have got two values from this DB result, okay, when we are iterating over it. Now, what we need to do is we need to put this both and make a dictionary. Okay, so we are just going to make this data standardized as well. So to standardize it now, suppose in Excel we have passed smaller character words and then there is no space, there is only underscore. So we are just going to standardize it for safer practice. Okay, so we will do lower first of all, and then we will replace. So this basically we have done, but again, just if you are seeing this video over here and if you want to do this, if you have not seen the video before, so you can go ahead and take this in your script as well, so that your data is quite standardized. And then D type, again, we will convert it into lower, okay? And replace, I would say it is better to keep this here also. so that we don't have any chance of, failures. We are just putting this column and taking this column and putting it in a dictionary. Okay, instead of, if you write for and then colon and then this set of words, we're just doing it at once. So we are first making it lowercase, then replacing it with underscore, and we are doing the same thing with d type. Okay, data type. So this is our final DB schema. And then let us just print it as well over here. So we will print it as actual schema. That is from DB, okay, and not from the Excel. That is our test cases. And it will print here, okay, DB schema. Then next, let us go ahead and get the expected value from the Excel. Expected schema, okay, is equal to JSON.loads. Now, what does JSON does is JSON.loads does nothing but it will give you, whenever we parse a data frame object, it is not directly convertible into a Python object. So for that, we use JSON.loads so that it is convertible into a Python object. Now, when we will read this particular column, right, this particular column, it will be a JSON object, right? So we need to convert it into a Python object. So in Python object, this will be automatically converted into a dictionary. Okay, so we are doing the same thing via this line, just putting it as expected. Okay. उसके बाद expected schema, again we are standardizing it so that we are not missing, we are not giving any chances of failure over here. Expected schema is equal to column dot lower dot replace, okay, and then we are replacing it with underscore. So this is the column that we are doing, and then d type dot lower, same thing basically, nothing, we are not changing anything, we're just doing the same thing. Okay. Now what we will do is we will parse our, we will write our for loop for column and d type in expected schema dot items. You might already know that for dictionary, we use expected dot items to iterate over the keys and the values. Okay. Now we will print it as print expected schema, and this is from Excel. Okay. And then we will put the value as expected schema. Good. Now we will compare. Now you see when we will run the query, right? We will get all the columns that are there. Okay. So there are total 21 columns in this one. So when we will run this query, we will get 21 columns. But in the Excel, I have passed only sample columns, right, for testing. So these are the sample columns that I have passed. So just because I'm testing on sample data, so I have used it. If you want to test entire, you can just keep all the 21 columns and the data type here and test it. But I will just use these 5. So I'll write another piece of code to make sure that only these columns are matched with DB and not all that are there in the file, right? So let me do that. So I'll keep here as a comment, compare only the expected subset. Okay, now we are going to compare only the expected subset. So we need to iterate over our expected schema columns and check that if that column exists in our DB, then we need to be, okay, we are going to test if the data type matches or not. If that column doesn't exist if the column doesn't exist in DB schema, then it is a failure, obviously. Okay, because we are just using the subset. Okay, so what we will do is for column d type in expected schema dot items. Okay, and then we will do if column not in DB schema. Okay, and then we will do it as print. We'll print which column is missing. Okay, column missing in DB, and then we will put it as string. Okay. So this is for those columns which is present in the schema, but Excel sheet, that is our test cases, but it is not present in DB schema. So in this case, our test case will obviously fail. Okay. So next will be if, so it will return false, obviously. Let me return also. Okay. Now if DB schema column is not equal to data type, then what it will print is type mismatch. Okay. So we'll just do type mismatch in column. Okay. Expected D type is this got DB schema, right? Now we will just check DB schema, DB schema, and then data in column, right? So we are just matching through this. We are just matching the data types of the columns that are mentioned in the test case. Okay. If you are passing everything, each of the columns, then you don't need to write this. Okay. You just need to write till here. I'm just using a subset, so I'm writing it here. Okay. Now we will do print schema validation passed. This is just for our, reference so that we know where it is exactly failing. The print statement is nothing but debugging kind of statements also, like you do logging, right? So that is what we do. So in this particular framework, I have not taken logging. In next framework that we will study, we will be studying logging as well, along with the entire framework creation. Okay, cool. So this is done, and then we will return true. So okay, it is good till here. Now let us run this and see how it behaves. Okay. I mean, if it passes, if it doesn't passes, we don't know. Or yeah, let me just remove this one for now. I'm closing it so we don't get permission denied error. And let me remove the lines that are not necessary. And then I'll put CLS again. Okay. Let us see what happens. Okay, it is showing as a type error. Object is not a table, right? So where it has, let us see till where it has printed. Okay, actual schema is this. So it has printed the actual schema, but it has not printed. Actual schema is printed, right? But it has not printed expected schema. So why it has not printed? Let us debug the code. Expected schema is expected schema dot loads. This is correct till here. Okay, we are loading it, and then we are doing nothing. We're just doing lower, and then expected schema is equal to replace. We're doing this, and then we are doing data type dot lower dot replace. This is also good. Then we are doing for column this expected schema dot items. Okay, okay. It should be items, right? It is not like that. It is not standalone. Hmm. Items is a method, right? Dictionary method. So we should always put a parenthesis post that. Let us try again. I hope Excel file is not open. Okay, again it has failed. So this time the reason is schema validation passed. Then which validation has failed actually? Okay, this has only failed, but it has again, now it has printed expected schema also. And then it has given it as schema validation pass as well. So, okay, I have just done return. I'm sorry for that. It should be true. Now let us run it again. Keep our finger crossed. I hope everything passes. Yes, this time it has passed. Okay. So like I mentioned, you can skip this entire code if you are comparing entire columns. If you are just comparing a subset of columns, you can keep it. Okay. Now let us go ahead and write for not null validation. Let me open the test cases file again. And then we will put not null validation as well. So if you remember, we have already created an utility for that, correct? So if we have already created an utility, so we are going to utilize the same utility for our validation. So we have opened the test cases, and then we will just go ahead and put this here. Okay. Now in this one, what we need to do is we just need to check not null, and this is fine. Okay. Now we need to write code for this. So let us keep this Excel file open, and then till here we are all good. So now we have written all if statements whenever we have a logic to be query. I mean, whenever we have this particular DB query to run, right? So all this if statements are under this if statement, correct? If this is true, then only we are going to enter into this, right? So till here, all our statements had select, correct? So that is why it was entering inside all the nested if statement. Now, for the last validation, we don't have select, right? What we will do is we will just take the columns that are not null from DB, and we are going to we will take this expected value, and we will take the TF from we will read the column names from Excel, and we are just going to compare it if the expected value that we have given is coming in the not null columns or not. Okay. So what we will do is we will create an elif statement, and this shouldn't be a subset of this. We will create if here for this one we'll create a else statement. Okay. So let me create here. 1 second. No, not here. This will go here. Okay. Here. Okay. So here we will write an elif statement for that. So that elif query will be like elif query logic dot starts with no. How was it written? Not null. Okay, this should be check not null. Okay, this is under query logic, so I have written it under query logic. So let us give it as dot not null. Okay, and then what we will do is we will give not null column is equal to, again we will do JSON dot loads and then put expected. Okay, and then we will run return validation schema, which is no, sorry, not validation schema, not null validation, right? Validate not null. Okay, and then the df that we will pass is superstore CSV, and the columns that will be there is not null columns. Okay, so you can go back to the video where I have explained utilities. So this is the utility I am using right now. Okay, so it is doing nothing but it is just giving us a difference that whatever columns we have provided in not null columns, if any of those columns has any kind of null data, it is checking in this particular DF that we are creating upon reading the CSV file and checking if any of those have any kind of not null data. Got it? And if it has, then it will fail this test case. If it doesn't have and it is matching, then it will pass this test case. Okay. So yes, we are good. I have also added this test case. So let us close it. No, I don't want to save it. And let us go ahead and run it. Great, it has passed. Okay, since I've already tested this, so it was quite clear how we wanted to use it. So it has also passed. Now with this, we have already completed our 7 test cases. We have just one more to go, and that is a custom logic that we need to write. Okay, so we will do it in the next session, and in next session, we will be also creating Pytest reports. So yeah, hang on with me till then. Thank you. Thank you for watching.